Now we're going to do windows and doors. So go ahead and click on layers. Go up to the top. We're going to add a layer above that one. Rename it. We're going to call it windows and doors. And you're going to turn Drawing Assist on. Make sure you have your paintbrush. Using black, monoline, 3%, 100% opacity. And now you have to decide, based off of how big you have the streets, is that going to be a 4-lane road, a 2-lane road? How big would the people be that are going into this building? So a door would be about the size of a person. And so this is going to be a lot of try it out, undo, until it looks about right. I would say the width of the door is probably not quite a full width of one of your sidewalk tiles. And so I'm just going to give it a guess on how big to make this. If I were to say that that's about the height of a person, how many of those, so you can take your fingers and you can measure the height of that door and see how many fit in going up your building. So I would say if that was the height of a person, I would have a door that fits in above that and a door that fits in above that. So maybe this would be the total of a 3-story building. I think I want to shrink this just a little bit. So I'm going to go a little smaller on my door. And then I can remeasure it and see how many fit in. 1, 2, 3 in a part. I think I'm going to still have only a 3-story building, but this gives me a little extra room to work with adding a sign above the door. And so I think that looks pretty good. And again, it's just a guess. I'm going to kind of come down where that line is, and I'm going to put another window going down. And this is going to be my storefront. So you're going to individualize your building by having windows and doors, the shapes that you want them. And let me bring that over a little bit more. I'm going to erase the excess lines later so I don't waste time in this tutorial. Normally in skyscraper buildings, there's a store on the bottom, and then there is residence at the top, apartments at the top. And so that's what I'm trying to visualize. So I have my door, I have my window front. I want to leave room for a sign for my building right above this part, and then I'll have the where the residents live. So I'm going to come up a little bit to leave room for my sign. And then I'm going to start thinking about how my windows are going to be. So I'm going to just block this whole entire thing off. Technically, okay, so I shot that short. So let me redraw that first line a little bit, or the second line a little bit taller. Remember, it's easier to draw them a little larger than you think you need. And one thing to take note of is the distance right here, since that's closer to us, needs to be wider than the distance that's here and not vice versa. So when you are putting your windows on, keep that in mind. The side of the building closest to us, the gap between the side of the building and the window is larger, and then it's smaller when it's farther away from us. So I'm just kind of framing in where I want those windows, and then I am going to do a lot of erasing out. So let's say that that's where the first floor of my apartments would be, and then that would be the second floor of where my apartments would be. I don't really like that, so I'm going to make these windows a little bit larger. And I want them to kind of relate. Technically, the windows on the top would be longer here and shorter here because the ones on the top are closer to us than the ones on the bottom. But I think that looks okay. And then I need to decide, are we going to have 3 windows going across or just 2 windows going across? So I'm going to erase this stuff in between all of these things. But does that look good? So technically the windows in the row closest to us need to be wider, and then they need to get skinnier and skinnier as they go back. So right now I have it wide, or skinny, wide, skinny, so that's not going to work out. So you're going to undo and you're going to redo. But do I like that with that many windows? Do I want like just 2 windows in these apartments? I think at this point, maybe I'll just do 2 windows. Let me do a little bit of a better job. I mean, it looks okay. Or I'll do 3 windows on this side and maybe 2 windows on the other side. So I want this window to be the widest. And then skinnier and skinnier. Gotta move that over. So not only does the width, so that looks pretty good. So this is wider, skinnier, and skinnier. But also, this is wider and this is skinnier. So you're thinking, if you have equal size gaps, you got to make sure as they go back, no matter what, they're getting skinnier and skinnier. Then I'm going to go ahead and take Drawing Assist off, grab my eraser, and I am going to take my time with a tiny little eraser, and I am going to erase in between all of these windows. So some people will zoom in a lot, and then that just ensures that it looks really, really good. Get all the little bits. So you're going to just use your imagination, design the windows how you want them to be designed. What kind of building is it going to be? Is it going to be a restaurant all the way up? Or partially residential and partially a business? You can design this for your future aspirations. Do you want to be a doctor and you're going to make this a medical clinic? So think about what jobs you might want in the future. Maybe your family has a business already that you want to put in there, or just make it fun. What are the things that you're interested in? How can you make this have character? That says something about you, your personality. Again, anytime that when you're erasing, anytime you can use a larger eraser, do that. Anytime you have to use a smaller one, take the time to do that. It's better to just have good craftsmanship along the way. So I am doing what I can. Even that little tiny bit, that's going to show up in the print. Use my bigger eraser for my larger areas. And then let's see how these windows look. I don't really like, I think that small gap is a little bit too small. So I'm going to go ahead and turn Drawing Assist on. So what you have to do is you have to just kind of, oops, let's see, what did I do there? Turn Drawing Assist back on. You got to just kind of look and see, does it look right? Does something look off? Actually, sorry, let me turn that back off. Let's do the eraser. I'm going to get rid of this line. And get smaller. Too small. And I'm going to widen that gap. I think it got too small too quickly. And so you just have to have that motivation to go back and fix things up to make them look good. And take your time. Sometimes you don't know how something looks until after you get to a certain point. So back to turn Drawing Assist back on. And I am going to make it a slightly wider gap. but it still has to be skinnier than the one on the other side. So I'm going to keep redoing this until it looks better. Okay, I feel like that looks better. Re-erase. So yeah, just get comfortable doing stuff, undoing stuff, going back, making things look good. Okay, once that looks right, and we gotta fix up our, might as well fix up our door at this point too, and our window down at the bottom. You're going to turn Drawing Assist back on, get your pencil, and on the side that is farthest from us, so according to where the corner of the building is, so I'm looking at that corner of that building on this side. The side that's farthest away from us, so on this window, this side is closest to us. This is the farthest away side. What we want to do is we want to put some dimension to this window. And so I am going to do a double line going down. This is like inside of the building, the dimension that we would see. You don't want to have a white gap going down. So you can make these as thick as you want them, but say I made it this thick, then I'd have to put another line going down the middle, and that would give it even more dimension. So I'm just trying to do a line exactly like right next to the line that was there, so I don't have to go ahead and put in, let me zoom in. So make sure that's thickening it up, makes it look more 3D. I'm going to do that on this side of the door and this side of the window on the bottom. And then from this point of view, the other ledge that we would see on the windows would be all the bottoms. So put a double line across all the bottom windows as well. And this gives it a more finished, more 3D look to it. So again, you can make it wider than I'm making it, so you can come in with 3 lines or 2 lines. And the bottom window. You could do it to the bottom of the door as well. Kind of makes it look like a little bit of a door frame. And then if I had windows on the other side, so the last thing that I'll show you is if I were to set up the windows on the other side, I kind of want to make them similar in size. So you do the same thing that we did. Looking at this gap, did I make that gap smaller? I did not. So let me do that again. Go up a little higher there. Okay, that gap is smaller, but I wasn't able to cross my line. Can I get away with that? Maybe. And then let's say that I drew all of these windows back in here. I want a larger gap between these windows. Maybe this time I'm only going to have 2 windows in there. Erase this excess, and I'll show you one. Turn Drawing Assist off. I'll show you one of these windows, so pretend that I did a good job erasing all these windows. All those little bits, those little pieces. So if I was to add the dimension to the window frame on this one, Drawing Assist back on, again, the corner of the building that's facing me, I'd look at that, and then it would be the side of the window that is farthest away that gets the extra dimension. So for all these windows on that side of the building, you would add the dimension on the left side and the bottom again. It'll always be the bottom, but you gotta decide if it's gonna be the extra dimensions on the left or the right. So look at the corner of the building. On all the windows on the right side, it's the right side of the window that gets the dimension. On all the windows on the left side, it's the left side of the windows that get the dimension. And that's it. So design your windows, make them unique. You can research different styles of windows and buildings that exist in the world, and then get some more creative ideas into your unique building